Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Adam Totounji on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Mogul Insider. Adam, welcome to the show.
What's going on, my man? Thanks for having me.
So excited to get into today's topic. I want to talk about connecting with high net worth individuals and marketing. But before we do that, let's get into what you're doing over at Mogul Insider. First, tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Sure. So long story short, Mogul Insider currently is a full-service marketing consulting / media firm. And what that, basically means in a roundabout is like we come into companies and, build relationships, create a community around what they're doing, figure out what they're up to, and see if we can kind of integrate on certain projects. A lot of the stuff we do is internal. We're very content-driven type of hub. However, if there are certain things that we don't necessarily do, we still come in and like to position ourselves as consultants so that become like an advisor in the marketing space. And so through our network, we kind of gather the necessary resources and bring them on if there's certain things that we don't necessarily do internal. So that's kind of like the 30-second spiel. Things we kind of do is really anything marketing related, but I love content. Content's huge for us. So paid media, content strategy, social media. It's all in the, so just to let everyone know, it's all in the digital space. So we don't do any traditional marketing.
So there's a lot of people listening right now that are that own businesses and they're entrepreneurs and always looking for different slants and different agencies to work with. What makes your industry your agency different? Like what kind of niches do you focus on?
You see, I think what makes our agency, super different isn't necessarily the service. I don't want to focus on that. It's the treatment. We're a service-based business, and we've recognized that, and so we're people-driven first. What that means is basically our mission is really every person we touch will guarantee have a better life because of whatever we do for them. So it's kind of like a thing I spread out to the entire team, whether it's subcontractors, partners, vendors, podcasters, because we deal with a lot of podcasts too. Whoever, works with us, eventually lives get better. And so I think that's what makes us special is I don't want to be so cliche and say, I'll take the extra mile, but seriously, it's like the relationships we cultivate in today's such fast working society. It's always value driven. And so, because when I come into these companies, it's not necessarily about fulfilling a service. It's really about helping a friend, like they need certain help in certain areas. And because of our network, we're able to provide that. But if you want me to get specific, I can tell you things like paid media means, we manage a lot of pay-per-click campaigns for smaller companies. We manage a lot of SEO. We're also very diverse in terms of the Facebook, Instagram, social media, advertising space. So we work on lead gen campaigns, brand awareness campaigns. And then our specialty comes in the content creation side. So we create commercials, testimonial campaigns. We've done training portals for training portfolios for companies, meaning we come in and we build out an entire training program for them. So we create the content around that. So there's a lot of creative projects that we work on, but those would be the top.
Man, that's awesome. Tell me about this goal I see here. So your goal of getting on 100 podcasts this year. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I've been under the rock for the past 2 years, man. It's been crazy just kind of getting this up and running. So now I feel like I'm finally, in a position where I want to really spread the awareness of what we do, because I really believe that with our ethics and morals and values that every person we touch will have a better life. So it's really cool to be able to see those lives transform, whether it's, creating more money so that everyone gets paid more, whether it's helping companies hit their goals faster so that they can actually exceed their goals. And, I don't think of it as marketing, really. I think of it as, our companies helping other companies create more jobs, sustaining more families, giving people lives that they, deserve to have. And I think being a part of that is really cool. So really spreading that message is is what I'm trying to do.
And tell us more about what you think about podcasting in general, just as a form of distributing content, because you're very specific on your goals. So I'm like, it's not 100 YouTube channels, it's not 100 this, 100 podcasts. So tell us more about what you think is interesting about podcasting.
So, great question. I am a huge fanatic on podcasting. So actually, Mobile Insider started off as a podcast, but from the relationships, we started getting requests to work on projects, and then from that, just kind of accidentally fell into what we do now, and we just so happen to be really good at it. But in terms of, podcasting, I think first off, it's modern, meaning it's like what people look for today. As of last year, there was like over 700,000, I'm sure you know the stat, 700,000 podcasts downloaded, and, but if you compare that to the radio world, we're still very, 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 very small. And so the opportunity is enormous in terms of getting yourselves on channels like this. Another thing too, it's really, really good in developing rapport with the audience without actually, having to meet them. When people listen to podcasts, they feel like they trust you because the information you provide, and especially if it's a podcast they find value from and they follow, we've seen huge, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is like just trust that's created before even meeting the individual, so that when the person meets you, it's already like a warm date. It's not necessarily, hey, who are you? What are you about? The third thing is, I see this being a great gateway to build relationships. And so I'm really interested this year in also building relationships with other podcasters, because I think, I'm not a guy who likes to do things alone. I'm a huge social butterfly. And so anything I do, I like to have other people in it. And so a huge goal we have internally is to build relationships with podcasts and help them get other guests on, because we also manage a lot of high-profile individuals. So kind of like a way to get to know these podcasters and, at the same time provide value. So that's cool.
I think that's a great transition. Networking with high net worth individuals and getting those right, like kind of introductions. And I mean, where do you want to go with that one? I think I want to start with the basics. For a good, like, for the next year, I'm just going to be talking about basics, because I think people forget those specific things, which is why networking is like such a big topic. But if I want to really ramble about it, one huge thing that really bothers me is like, I don't understand why schools don't necessarily teach this as a topic. It should be, in my opinion. It's a human skill that, if acquired, can allow anyone in today's society to get whatever they want. And I say whatever. If you know how to network, you can get anything. So especially in 2020, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. Because from who you know, you can start learning a lot and create a whole career out of that. That's just one example, but there's a lot of reasons to it. So, but in terms of the basics, I think people, if you want to specifically talk about high net worth individuals, I don't like the concept that they're even in their own criteria. I think that by itself creates a shell that makes people assume that they're inaccessible. So I think that's like a big, big challenge. And I want people to understand that at the end of the day, that we're all human, right? So the biggest thing that's helped me build a massive network is the first understanding that he's a human or she's a human. I'm also human. So in terms of humanity, I should be respected at the same level they're respected. The only difference is whatever they do, they just so happen to be better in it than I am currently, but it does not deny me from my basic human rights. Just because I'm not in that space, I'm not all of a sudden now worse or less or looked down upon or not a part of this society, because that concept screws up the approach for anyone that's still getting into networking as like if anyone's like young. I like to really talk to like college students. I like to talk to the younger generation. I think, if they remove that concept out of their head, approaching would become a lot easier, and then you'll start to realize that it's really conversational. It's not necessarily when people talk about provide value here and there, or make sure you give to get before you ask. You will never understand what to give and how to provide value if you don't get to know the person. And you will never get to know the person if in your head they're much, much better than you, because you're going to get nervous. You're going to feel like, whoa, I don't know if I'm valuable enough.
why would he spend time with me? Like, honestly, to whoever listens to this, there's a lot of people that I've met that literally just enjoy the fact that I can talk to them about life. You know, they're like, oh, this is so awesome. I'm working so much all the time. It's really cool to kind of get a breather. You know, because not a lot of people approach them. Now they're thinking to themselves, oh, you know, and it's weird because society has also framed them in like a separate, like, celebrities are like different. You know, they're not human. They're famous. But yeah, I can ramble about this forever. But I mean, another thing, if you look at, like, it's interesting. It's also affecting, in my opinion, the high net worth individuals. There's a lot of depression that happens at that level, and I think because society has created this secluded arena for these guys that they don't even like it themselves. So if you reach out and you provide value, they're always down and they just want to help. They just want to give back. And so it's just understanding that concept. I think in the beginning, obviously we can be talking about this for like hours. It's very important.
No, that's awesome, and I get it too, and it makes sense, and I like the fact that you bring up that it's all human. I mean, everybody is human, so and that's the condition. So, no, all great stuff there. So, Adam, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about what you're doing over at Mogul Insider or different ways they can work with you, what's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, you can just follow me on social media at Adam Totounji. Last name is Totoun, as Nancy, J as in Jerry, I as in Igloo. Just hit me up wherever. I'm really, like, I'm always down to provide value and grow and help other people out. And then, yeah, you'll find a lot of the content we post and kind of learn from there.
I love it, and I do get that from you, by the way, that you're into definitely helping people, and I do see that as a difference and a competitive edge for Mogul Insider. So thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your background, your story, and some tips on connecting with high net worth individuals. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store. Share it with your friends and family. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Adam, thanks again for coming on the show.